Tambarambaa, also known as Tammy Klinger, here with you today, sharing this gorgeous page. Now, how much fun are we having over at Art by Marlene at the moment with the May challenge on? And I'm just going to take you through day 9, which is Garden Party. So I'm using the new Signature Collection paper pack. And I have a few stencils here. Some I use, some I end up not using, but these are what I pulled out. So this one I do use, and I don't believe I use this stencil. I guess that's the way I create. I pop a few things out together that are speaking to me, and then I go from there. So I do use all these paint colours: Happy, Ballet, Mermaid, Sky, lots of my favourites. I've got Peony, Azure, Envy, Punk, and Breeze. And then I have my cute little book that, I grab a few brushes, and then I've got my cute little book that I made specifically for the May challenge. I love making little handmade books, and this is the one that I created just for this challenge. So it says the ABM-May challenge on it. I've got a few flowers, some of Marlene's beautiful paper. In that section on the stripes there, I'm going to print the challenge prompts and pop it there. And that was day 1 of Flower Power. Then I've got day 2 pastels, day 3 happiness, day 4 is brights, day 5 is plants, day 6 is single flower, day 7 is flower pattern, and I had a lot of fun with that one. And day 8 was box flowers, and I did thinking outside the box. So this is day 9, which is Garden Party. And I grabbed a couple of sheets out of the new Signature collection of papers, and I actually used one sheet in particular, so see if you can pick it a bit later. But as my jumping off point, as my colours, I just thought, oh, I love all the colours Marlene's used. And that's where I took my inspiration for this whole page. So I basically grabbed a couple of sheets out of my art journal, because I know I've done a few single pages and I just want to have a bit more area to play with. And then I'm using Happy, and I'm using Envy and Ballet and Mermaid, but instead of whacking them straight onto my page, I'm mixing them with white gesso, and you'll see you get more of a muted colour toning to it. So this bit I just put on then is Punk, but I have used a bit of Ballet, so you'll just see it does change the colour slightly. But what I was thinking is I'm just going to create a softer background ready to build upon. Now, I'm just going to apologise in advance here because the sun is, I've been really busy, and I normally create in the morning because it's my room has the best light at that time. But I haven't had time, and this was happening in the early afternoon, and the sun came over, and you'll see it actually really isn't good. You really can't see what I'm doing. So I do at one stage stop it and wait and come back at night time. So the colours change a little bit just because of the time I'm filming with. But I tried to do that because I could just see how frustrating it must be to watch when there's bright light. So my apology when that happens. So what I've done is I've started with yellow and softer colours in the centre, and I've moved outwards towards deeper colours as I've gone out, and I've done that with both my background, and now I'm doing it with my stencil work. And I'm using this gorgeous flower stencil, framed flower stencil, to come in with sort of greens and blues and contrast colours here, and to we'll pop some down with my finger and then wipe some off with a wet baby wipe through a stencil, and that just gives a really lovely frame to it. And as I said, I've got darker as I've gone out, so I really like the way this one looks. As you can see, I'm not being perfect. I'm kind of just roughly lining it up and not worrying too much about it. I think this stencil is great for hiding that and letting it look like it all joins when actually it probably doesn't. So now, just to cover in some of my joins and perhaps some of my bits where they haven't joined up very well, I'm coming in with more paint and sort of smudging it around some of the stencil work, just to make it look like some of it's paint and some of it's stencil work. So it's a real work in progress just to get this background to look really natural. And this is the part where I think you can see the bright light coming in. And as I said, I'm really sorry about that, but I am coming in now, building up some mark making and adding a bit more colour in with a simple brush and paint and just tapping it on. And I guess what I often do is just use, particularly punk is something I use a lot for this, because it's translucent. Any of the neons will sit on the surface of your paper. But also I just blend, so if I've got pink, I'll extend that out, and that blue there, I'm putting it down where the blue is, but I'm bringing it out past that, and it just kind of brings everything together. So now I think I decided to add in a bit of white, and this is something particularly when I use colour, and although my background is a bit more muted and I've added some brighter colours on top, I think white tones it all down and helps it to click all together. So I'm just adding a bit of white, some more stenciling, and just a bit of mark making. Okay, so now so you can see that's the paper that I drew the inspiration from, and the colours are pretty much identical. But it's a mandala paper, and as it's been my inspiration, I thought, right, I'm going to cut off some of the pieces that are in it. And because we're doing a garden party, I need to make some flowers. Now, that paper as I said, it's a mandala, but it has lots of hearts and kind of leaf shapes, and I thought, I can turn these into some pretty cool flowers. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just fussy cutting out some of the hearts with the intention of turning them into flowers. Some of the little tiny bits I'm turning into centres of flowers, and some of the leaves I'm cutting out to be leaves. So I won't talk too much, I'll just let you watch this part where I start to gather them on the page. I'm not putting them exactly where I think I'll go, I'm just kind of getting a feel for it at this point. So I've also grabbed the other paper that's in that paper range and cut just a few of the shapes and circles out, and you'll see there's a circle, I add those to the page as well. So the colours all work. Marlene's papers always blend beautifully together. So I've got a little bit of an idea what I'm going to do. At this stage it's just a thought. And I've done all my cutting, and I start to place them around my page. And I'm not thinking this is exactly where they're going to go, it's just a guide at this point. So some of the centres of those flowers I actually turned upside down. I originally thought I'll use the top part, and I've turned them upside down to use the bottom part, which I think looks really cute. So I've got a rough idea where I would like my placement. So in a moment I'm going to come in with some washi tape, just pop a little bit of washi tape on the centre, top and bottom, just to hold it together. And I'm sorry when I keep hitting my camera and making you all feel a bit dizzy, but I'm now just sticking them on, and the washi tape just holds my two pages together so that I can overlap. And I think the thing with doing a double page is make sure that some of you're not creating on the left side and the right side and expecting it to be one fluid page. You need some of what's on the left to blend over into the right and vice versa. So you want it to look like one sheet of paper rather than two. So the washi tape holds it there while I glue it down with my sticky glue. So I'm adding flowers and leaves, and you can see the sun. This is where I start to realise that it's not a good look and you're not really able to see. I think while I'm creating, it's beautiful with that sun coming in, but yeah, I do fix that in a minute and come back when it's a bit later in the day and the sun has gone down. So I've got a black paint pen here, and it's a fine paint pen, and I'm just going around. I've glued down all my images, and now I'm just going around all of my outlines and bringing them together. So I'm outlining around all my hearts and my stems so that they look like one piece and not just bits of paper stuck on the page. And I did remove my washi tape. It's not needed now at this stage because what I have glued with the glue is holding the 2 pages together. I will separate that a little bit later, but at this stage it is holding exactly what I need. So continuing to go around the edges, I've done one lined edge around everything, so this is me now adding a second line just to give it, I guess, a more whimsical look and not such a defined look. I think when you do a couple of edges, it is quite forgiving and hides some of your imperfections. So I'm really happy with how that's looking. So now I've just added a bit of the Punk translucent paint, which anyone that knows me knows that it's my absolute favourite. And you'll see I'm just using it around the edge. I'm not coming into the centre because, again, I'm trying to keep that centre a bit lighter. And I'm building up some of that colour around the edge. So I swiped some with my finger, and then I am adding some with some paint, a paintbrush as well. So now I'm also coming in with the colour called Sky, which is a beautiful blue, and just adding a few blends with my fingers around the edges as well. And you'll see the magic happen when this sort of little bit of depth around the edges becomes a bit of a frame, and it really helps the whole page to pop. So now I'm coming in with a white pen and adding a bit of doodling, but I'm actually not happy with how it's coming up on the page. So I grabbed the white lace paint that's it has the little nib on the end, and I find that's much better at creating some hearts and some dot points and some highlights. So here I go, adding Born to Party with a quote. So this is from a couple of her sticker quotes, and I'm just outlining with black pen and helping that all to join up. So what a fun page. So now I cut off trim it in half so I can pop it into my book because I'm all complete, but you'll see how fun that looks, and it is a fun page to create. Who doesn't love a party? So I'll leave you with a bit of close-ups, but you can see the inspiration for this page pretty much came from that one sheet of paper. So not only did I use the paper in my project, but I used the colours as my jumping off point for the background. So let's keep inspiring each other. I absolutely love seeing what you're doing. May is just going to be a great month. And believe me, you all inspire me just as much as I inspire you. So let's keep encouraging each other, sharing and commenting.